So welcome back again, guys. So before we went on a break, we said we're gonna come back and talk a little bit about tourism and the economy. And before we get to that, I want to welcome back my co-host Courtney.
Yeah,
Courtney DeCastro. Courtney was missing in action for 2 weeks.
For a whole 2 weeks, yeah. So nice to be back.
Courtney, how does it feel to be back, man, in front of the camera? The people that were calling just for you.
It feels great. It feels great.
That's good.
So Sam, I'm sure tonight, as usual, we're gonna have a wonderful show.
Yeah, man.
I'm sure we get a lot of interaction from the public, which is, you know, what makes this show so interesting and so dynamic.
That's right.
So,
well, we already got a bunch of texts. We're going to jump on them in a little bit, but
okay.
Courtney, I wanted to just solicit some ideas. We got a phone call. Let's get to that.
Right over here. Good evening. You've reached Speak Your Mind. Go right ahead, please.
Yeah, I'm Sam.
Hey.
Yeah, this is some of the things I will talk about tonight. Any your favor, what you want to talk about?
Okay, no. Whatever you want to talk about is your show.
Okay, good. I understand that a trust company buy out another trust company, and they're laying off all the two of them, and they're bringing in people from outside. Now, where in the world that could happen?
Tatola.
Look, man, we got a Minister of Labor, and if he can't do his job, or he don't want to do his job, they step down, give it to the Christian or somebody else. Because this is disgusting. We got more than 400 people come out of LSCC and Elmstown High School. Only just a little while ago, I will say 120 of them is employed. What happened to the rest of them? Them can't work in a trust company? Them can't get a job nowhere? Let me tell you something, man. They got serious problem in labor. They got top class trade men in the business for denial walking about can't get job. The labor department got about 3,000 work permit in there. Some of the people left already. So when I'm planning to go home for Christmas, they may go home, but they ain't coming back. Why you keep issuing you work permit? People here walking about. Why bring people? That's a bunch of garbage. We don't need any BVI. Everywhere you're going to see Filipino. Our country built without Filipino. We built it from horse and donkey, mule cart, Alabudi cart, and Luther's cart to what it is now. And we are not Filipino. We go to the Eastern Caribbean islands and we get labor and help in our country. And everywhere you're going to see them. Something going on in labor. Either money passing under the table to the shoot, or something going on in there. Because if they're going to work in the country, why bring poor people? Well, that's a big part of it right here. The economy of the country is down. It ain't going to work. You're still issuing work for them.
But caller, you want to hear my take on it?
Yeah, let me hear it.
With the first part, according to the new labor code that we have, the 2010 one,
yeah.
If there's a British Virgin Islander who is qualified for a job, that person must get preference. According to the labor code, that person must get preference to anybody else. That's the first part. The second part is that I believe that we have an unwritten labor policy that says if you flood the market with labor, you get cheaper labor. You following me?
Yeah, I understand.
And that is what I think is in place. Now I might be wrong. You know, if someone would call and say that the Castroman, you're wrong. You know, that's not our policy. I would agree. But what you're describing to me, and which I already know, is we have a situation where we are flooding the labor market with persons from abroad, and what that is doing is it is lowering the price of labor. Right. To the point where some people will be qualified or otherwise and still can't find work. So,
well, the Labor Department, something going on between the Labor Department and the Labor Minister. And all the Labor Minister got to do say, look, freeze all work permit. No new work permit from it. The country don't want to work. So why you bringing the people in?
Well, Carl, I'm saying to you, I think it have to start with a policy. If we have a policy to hire our own people, then all these other things will fall in place.
Well, exactly. But if they don't bring them, they will find people because we have people here who qualify to work.
Okay.
And then we got people coming from abroad. We got doctor, lawyer, teacher, engineer, all of the nurses to come back home. Why you keep for every country outsiders?
And Carla, don't forget to, the companies that are here have an obligation as a cooperative citizen to train our people for the jobs as well.
Right.
So they're not qualified.
You're a trust company.
So not qualified.
Another trust company, and you're laying off tattoos and billboards and workers and bringing in people from outside. What do you go to the poll for? What do you go to the poll and vote for them for? To represent us.
Yes.
That's what you go to the poll for. We go from a job, from a tie.
Not to.
And if they can't do the work, they don't come down. Mine, I will say one thing before I leave. NDP government were in there already. And the people go to the poll, they out all of them and leave 2 doctors. And they better shine now, why them in there? Shine. Because next election there will be a mock. Okay? Let them do what they got to do. How in the world a woman feeding her children, got a job in a trust company, she paying for her car, she supporting her family, and you gonna let she have to bring people from outside? Okay, I'm gonna be back a little earlier, later. Thank you.
All right, man. Thanks for the call.
Thanks for your call.
Courtney, the way I understand the whole story, right?
Yeah.
And I talked to several people, somebody who's intimately involved with the company he's referring to.
Yeah.
Apparently what they're doing is they're bringing people in to train them, and then those people are going back home, and they're opening up a branch there. These people are making no money, and what it means now, if you can do the business there but still keep the company incorporated in the BVI, it's still registered as a BVI company, but the work is being done somewhere else at a much cheaper rate.
So we're outsourcing the work.
So we're outsourcing the work. So somebody said to me the other day, well, how are these people able to get a work permit anyway to come in the country to train? And I said, well, I don't know. We have a labor minister. And by the way, speaking of labor minister, the farmers are still crying out, Courtney, because it's now 10 months into this administration, and the farmers haven't had a meeting yet with the labor minister. And here we are talking about good health, healthy food, good nutrition. We had a new company just open up about health and welfare. And we still can't get with our farmers to start growing good food in this country so the people can stop dying of all this mysterious food that we're eating, and nobody's telling us that it's the food.
And you're reminding me that we spent about $4.5 million on the greenhouse.
Oh God. Two greenhouses. One in Virgin Island and one in Tortola.
2 sets of greenhouses, because there's more than 2 houses, a lot of houses.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is we spent a lot of money, and that was with the previous administration, and now for the last 10 months nothing has been done with those greenhouses.
Yeah.
They're growing weeds.
Well, the caller said that it was going to take me away from what we wanted to talk about, but the mere fact that he's talking about financial services, it's right on the economy.
Yeah.
So he probably didn't realize it, but you're realizing it now. That was exactly some of the things we were going to bring to the table. Is it helping our economy when the work is being outsourced? Here it is, we're just being used as a storing house.
Yeah.
But the companies are not bearing any responsibility to employ our people, to educate our people, to involve our people in the whole process. And this is why I think, Courtney, the whole process and what the Minister of Education is doing is so important now. Try to educate or introduce financial services to our young people to start cultivating their minds. So even if the companies come in and we could get a quick chance to learn the business from their end, hopefully 1 or 2 of those people can start their own business, create their own, develop their own office, right here locally, and then employ people here locally. So every opportunity we get, we should try to take advantage of it. It's something that we really got to think about, Courtney, because the economy right now is hurting.
Well, Sam, there's even a further twist than that to it, because the way I think we have to probably look to the financial services from their investigation part to see if they're really up, to what's really going on with some of these companies, because as far as I know it, the system is a highly developed, very technically oriented system, and it's very easy for employers to use from any location, for example. So, I think they're going to have to do some investigation to ascertain whether or not companies are really doing what they're saying they're doing in the first place, and secondly, to monitor and to investigate from time to time to ensure that all these laws that we have here in the Virgin Islands are really being adhered to. And I think too we have to look at the possibility too of persons doing the same thing that we do in other countries. As far as financial services is concerned. Good evening. You speak your mind. Go right ahead, please.
Yeah, hello. We had a similar problem years ago. This trust company came where they would line up these people. They buy them out, and they remember when we were changing over from Barclays Bank to First. There wasn't treating people good. Everybody walk out.
And I had a strike.
Everybody walk out the bank. Nobody could get money.
Yes.
Tatola.
Yes.
Until they get it back together.
Yeah.
But okay.
Well,
it's a lot of situations.
Well, we're hoping that it shouldn't come to that, though. We're hoping that they could resolve it one way or another before you get to that level. Sam, I don't know the intimate details of this particular thing, but I know in labor relations, one of the worst things you could do is go to a strike, go to a stoppage of work, right? But if it has to happen, it has to happen,
Yeah, well, if you had unions in the country, that would have happened to Courtney. But people would have a right to strike because they're being treated unfairly.
Yeah.
I gonna keep advocating that.
Don't forget that a union is just well, not a union, but any organized group of people can act as a union as well.
Yeah.
Good evening. You have reached Speak Your Mind. Go right ahead, please.
Good night.
Good night.
We will love to thank one man for the great service he has done for the past year.
Good.
Bring down the prices so that people buy. We want to thank the minister very much. God bless you.
All right, buddy.
Well, I didn't get it.
I think he was saying he wanted to thank the minister for the work what he have done so far. That's what he's saying.
Which one, the minister?
I ain't sure which one it is he was saying, but it's one of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks a lot for the call.
Yeah. We don't need more policies. What we need is enforcement of our present policies. Policies and laws without enforcement is useless. That's so correct. That is very correct. We need enforcement of the laws that we have right now on the books.
Yeah.
And I hope you didn't get me wrong. When I said change in policy, I meant if we had a policy. Presently the situation suggests to me that we have a policy that we prefer to import labor and to flood the market with labor. Now that would be a very detrimental policy to our native people or local people. But if we don't have such a policy, then I think we should get a policy that says, look, we're going to put our people first, and we're going to ensure that they're hired first. If you have a company, we're going to ask you to ensure that you train a percentage of employees, so that when job positions become open, then these people will be able to get into these positions. Now I think that's pretty straightforward thinking.
Yeah, but also, Courtney, somebody was saying to me just yesterday that when the labor department was down there close to the hospital, you can walk in the labor department and any given time of the week, usually from the beginning of the week, they'll have all the jobs that are available in different departments, different government, or different businesses that will be available for work. Yes. And people would be able to say, I have qualification for this, and they'll be able to submit their resumes and so forth. And it's almost like that's not even existing anymore. Okay. What's the reason for that, Courtney? You've been around through this thing for a long time.
Well, it could very well be that we have a change in policy. That's what I'm saying. I really think so, because we're not the only country in this dilemma, the big United States of America, they have the same problem. They have an open door policy, and the market is flooded with Latinos and people from countries that have conflicts. So you have a large labor force to choose from.
Yeah.
So it drives the cost of labor very low.
That's true too, but legitimate jobs, Courtney, you can go into any county, any employment agency, and they have jobs that are listed, you know.
Good evening. You have reached Speak Your Mind. Go right ahead, please.
Yeah. The law that need to be enforced when the employer want employee, instead of putting it in the paper, they need to advertise it on the radio and bulletin board 3 times a day. This paper is garbage because whenever you see a paper, a job in the paper, and you go into them, they say that's somebody already. Just a gimmick.
No, it's not a gimmick. It's an abuse of the system. That's what it is. They're abusing the system because they know the paper only comes out once a week.
Yeah, and that time they don't got nobody, you know, but they got somebody already.
No,
when it's a point, a lot of people don't read newspaper, but they listen to radio.
But in addition to that, I know of situations where the job was put in the paper, but the position was already filled.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So Dr. Pickton need to enforce that law.
It goes back to one of the texts that just came in. We need enforcement.
Right. Put it on the radio. People are listening to radio when we don't read newspaper.
Okay.
So if the church want 2 cook, 2 waitress, 2 bartender, they put it on the radio. And the people gonna go there, they got more that could have and they pick who they want.
But you know what?
That's what it's supposed to be.
While you're on that subject though, I was thinking what come in hand that we have these providers, what do you call them, the telecommunication providers. You know them, right? And they always sending text to us, but we can't send back no text to them. You could also put it on that media as well, because there are a lot of young people who use text, and they're the same people who need jobs.
Yeah, but if you put it on the radio, it'll be better. I remember sometime last year when Wells wanted some carpenters and some masons.
Right.
He put it on the radio, man. He had people talking about 50 people talking about here. He picked who he wants.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, use the media. Use all the media. Don't just use the newspaper.
Yeah.
You have a good point. You have a very good point. And I hope those listening would take heed and try new and innovative ways to try to get our people working. If the message isn't getting out that there's a job available, you know, that could be some of the problem as well.
Yeah, but what is the policy on that though?
On what?
And I mean, I saw the minister had said something about employers will have to start reporting their vacancies.
Yes,
you would have thought by now that would have been part of the labor code. Any sort of vacancy must be reported. Well, I mean, also it helps DPU as well.
There's always a kind of balancing act that the Labor Department have to try and do between employers and employees, right? And in doing that balancing act, they also have to monitor what's going on. So if a situation arises where it seems like it's not being fair, then they have to take corrective measures. Yes, good evening. You've reached Speak Your Mind. Go right ahead, please.
Good evening. How are you all doing this evening?
We're doing fine. And yourself?
I'm fine. I just been listening to that young man calling about the people that were laid off, and I side him 100% because I think that the last person should be laid off on any job should be the indigenous people. You know, because where else are going to go to get work? You know, this is our country, and we're supposed to be rooting for all people here in this country. And nobody shouldn't be coming in here and doing what they want in our country like that. And I think no provision should have been made in that thing what they write for, so that could have happened to the people them. You know? That should have not that it should have been out of that script. That should not be in there because that give them the head to do what they want. You know, because it's in black and white. And Sam, how are you doing, Sam?
I'm good, and I'm listening to you.
I get ready with somebody Tuesday, and the person put in a CD for me and play this song. And I said to myself, well, I turned to the person and I said, well, who sang this? Them say, Mac Morris. So I say, well, how come that song won't enter into the competition? But them tell me that when he entered, them said them didn't want it. And I think that song they could have been one of them songs in the House of Assembly. I mean, I didn't like the fact that it was in there. You know, it should have been out here for us, the people, to choose. You know, but I think the song is a nice song because when you're hearing old radio and your daughters and how wealthy, half of us here poor. We poor. So when I singing that, you know, I don't feel it in here because half of the men them here poor. What wealth? Where's the wealth? Where it is? The song that Matt Morris sings should, I think them need to play that on radio or something. Let the people them hear the song. Let the children hear that song. That song is a good song. That song should have been the song. You know, because we wealthy. We poor.
Okay.
And you have a good night. I'll call back. We'll have a good night.
Thank you.
Thanks as usual for your call.
I wanted to ask her what she think about tourism, since she's somebody that's actively involved in tourism and craft and history and culture. You know, we got the Craft of Life Center going to be up and running pretty soon. It's looking good, Courtney. You know, we got there was an article in the paper saying that there's no more room. Okay. Jan now is the city manager, and she was saying that, you know, there's a lot of people requesting space.
Okay.
But I think she has a good drive. She's talking about some of the stuff needs to be indigenous, it needs to be local, and I really would like to see a lot of that. Okay. So Jan, good work, keep that up.
Yeah, good evening. You've speak your mind. Go right ahead, please.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
I'm just calling to make a quick comment on something that the education minister said.
Okay.
He said that he was going to be paying for CXC subjects for all of the students.
Yes.
And I don't think that's a very good idea.
Why?
Because, well, presently parents pay for the exams, and sometimes those children don't even show up to take the exams that their parents pay for. And that money gone down the drain. I think what he needs to do is to set a standard, like, for example, say to the students, if you have a B average or better, the government will pay for you to take XYZ exams. I don't think he should just pay for everybody, because some of those children, they lose interest in CXC when they get to the farm. They don't do their work, and they don't show up to take the exams. And that would mean the government would be out of money that they can't get back, because if you don't show up for the exam, you fail, and your money is not refunded.
You sound like someone who is intimate with the situation and know a bit more than I do about the situation. However, I think by the broad statement that he made, they probably have some other measures to put in place to monitor, you know, and do exactly what you're saying, or else if the system,
well, I hope
it wouldn't work. I agree with you, it wouldn't work, because in a number of instances, as you said, a lot of people sign up for the exam and they don't show up to take the exam. And there's a situation where we have to look at it too, that although students may not do good all year, they may do good on an exam. So, you know, that it goes that way as well. Some people can buck up at the last minute and study real hard and pass the exam.
That might be true for some of the subjects, but there's some of the subjects that's not true for.
Like the ones where you got to do the SAB,
yes, exactly.
Okay.
And if your STA grades are low, you have already failed the exam.
That's true.
The entire exam. So
that's true.
It's a risk to just throw it out there. I would rather him say we give everybody free textbooks than for him to say we're going to pay for everybody CXCs, because that is not going to work out too well.
Well, tutoring will be another help as well. If we were able to provide some tutoring for the farm students.
That is true, but there's still going to be children who have everything at their disposal, and they're not going to take advantage of it. The teenagers we're working with, some of them don't only work with the moon, they work with their own clock.
I agree with you, but we have to try a wide net and try and capture as many of them as we can, because when we lose one, you know the problem.
We'll see what happens.
Okay. Thanks for your call, though. Yes, Sam. I'm for, you know, trying to throw as wide a net as possible to the young people, because hey, we have to reach out to them. We want productive citizens of the country at the end of the day. And when that doesn't happen, you know, we all pay, you know, for the social ills that come up as a result. Anyway, Sam, as usual, the people that make the show possible, they're asking for a break so that they can do a commercial. So we're going to take a break and we're going to be right back.